name is Andy. I'm a junior, and I started robotics this season.
I'm Leo. I'm also a junior, and I technically joined the robotics club in my sophomore year, but I actually participated in my junior year.
I'm Atul. I'm a sophomore. I started in 6th grade, so I competed in middle school.
Awesome. And we're joined by Ms. Mahoney. Will you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
I taught at the middle school for 28 years, and I've been doing the robotics program at the middle school for 13 years.
Awesome. And we have you here today because you were able to chaperone their most recent competition.
I went to Connecticut with this wonderful team of young men, and I acted as their coach for the 3 days that we were there. They were amazing. It was a new venue for all of us, so it gave us the opportunity to see what the Robotics Worlds competition would be like if we had made it to go to Dallas, Texas. It was a great experience. I think the boys learned a lot about independence, responsibility. They were constantly networking with the other teams. They worked on their robot. They were able to find materials when they needed them and share materials with other teams. So the collaboration and the teamwork that goes on at a robotics competition is amazing.
Awesome. Awesome. So let's see. So tell me about how did you get to this event? Like, did you have to qualify? Does anyone want to run with that question?
So we won a competition at Lawrence, and there's multiple ways to qualify. And one of the ways which we did it, we won a competition, like I said, but there you can also qualify by getting like a high skills score, which is like for your region. And if you get above, was it top 30 Atul?
Yeah, I think top 30, top 40 in the regional skills list.
Yeah. Yeah, and it kind of just like trickles down. And if they don't have any more spots to be able, they also trickle down more. And besides tournament champ, there's also other awards that qualify you. From the top of my head, I know 3, was it? It was first one, tournament champ, second one, excellence, and then was it skills champ?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So, again, we qualified by winning a competition at Lawrence. So that's how we got into regionals.
Awesome. Is this the first time that you guys competed at this venue?
Yeah. Well, this is my first time competing in general since this is my first year I actually participated. So I believe Atul would be better suited to answer this one.
Okay.
Yeah, we competed in Lawrence last year. We went to similar venues this year as well.
Yeah.
So we kind of knew the general scope of how it would go.
Awesome.
So.
Overall, I'm curious about why you guys participate. Why do you choose to participate at different levels? And what have been your takeaways and advice for kids that might want to get involved? And so that's what we're going to kind of talk about first. So Atul, you've been in robotics the longest. Congratulations. You are the youngest on the team and the veteran.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me whatever got you interested in doing robotics?
I think I always just found it interesting, how making things work and how it worked. My brother did a lot of robotic stuff, so kind of following into that. And then I saw in 5th grade that we had a club at the middle school. So I was like, might as well join it, right? So I went to I remember going to the 5th grade, where you would go over the whole program. So yeah, and then I was like, okay, I'll join. So I was pretty into it ever since back then.
So I remember, was it last year? I was filming a middle school competition. It was like in-house, right? Was it last year or the year before? But you even came down and were helping with the middle schoolers as well.
Oh yeah. The scrimmage at the middle school. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Usually end of season they run a scrimmage just for all the teams to at least have an opportunity to compete.
Nice. Now, do you participate in any other clubs here at the school or any other after-school activities or?
Yeah, I'm on the SAC board.
Okay.
Student council here and there, and student reps. So a couple organizations for our grade and stuff.
Yeah, the school committee rep?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's awesome. All right, what about you guys? So tell me, Andy, what made you join the robotics team, and what have you learned? Do you wish you'd joined sooner? Tell me all about yourself.
So when I was first at the high school, I was doing a business elective actually, so not much into STEM. But 2 years ago, this kid dragged me to one of the club meetings, and just like, this is so cool. So that's how I got into the robotics team, and Atul, Leo.
Awesome. Do you feel like you've always been interested in kind of solving problems and like figuring out how things, like what about it makes you say, oh, this is for me?
So I've always liked math ever since growing up, and in the high school I found my major is comp sci. So first the coding aspect of it made me like interested in robotics when I first saw it. But on the team, I'm more of like try to fill the missing roles. Like when Caitlin left, I tried to do the notebook and like help here and there. But I think going to the next season, I want to try and do more like coding and designing.
Awesome. Very cool. What about you?
Yeah, so I'm also like into coding stuff. That's how I got him into it. We were in the same comp sci class. But like him, they originally put me in the business major. I didn't have any business electives. So then I think they realized after the first week, and they just like, oh, this kid shouldn't be in the business wing. So they moved me out of it. But so I got my I got my interest in like computer science from when I was in middle school. I took like Mr. Lopez's class. So I was doing computer science, and so two of my inspirations, like Mr. Zheng and Mr. Lopez, they're like really chill teachers in middle school. And I just really liked the way they did things. They made like the subject interesting to do, right? So I was like, oh, I want to like continue doing those things like onto high school or like maybe into college.
Yeah.
So they taught math and computer science. I was like, oh, I want to do those then.
Yeah.
So I got into high school, right? And originally, so I took an AP class in computer science principles in my sophomore year because they didn't allow any APs in freshmen. So took it, and I was like, I wanted a way for me to build experience that like on the subject, because like I was learning stuff in the classes, right? But I wanted to actually get hands-on with everything I was doing.
Yeah.
So then I actually had a tool with me in Spanish class, and he actually told me like, hey, you're taking comp sci, right? Like you should do robotics. You can like, if you're interested in that type of thing, you can come join the robotics that we do. We do like coding and stuff.
Yeah.
So that was my sophomore year, and in the second half of sophomore year, I joined robotics. But by then the teams were already established, right? So I didn't really have much of a role, so I was just watching in the background. And this year, like I was actually like part of the team, and I actually got to participate fully and go to comps. So yeah.
Awesome. So if you could do it over again, do you think you would have gotten involved?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, earlier.
So I would have tried to get in middle school too.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Sorry, we would have loved to have had you.
But I was like kind of shy in middle school, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it
Robotics has a way of helping those shy students, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine you've seen a lot of growth in students over the years.
It's amazing to see Atul, for instance, using him as an example, but we have many other students who've gone through the program, sixth grade, and 2 years ago, we sent seven of our robotics students that had started in sixth grade are now sophomores at WPI.
Wow.
They went on an engineering path. They worked here at the high school, and they just continued that. And over the years, it's amazing to see those sixth graders, seventh graders. We now have eighth graders that are coming up to the high school next year. Three especially are so excited
Yeah.
to be able to join the high school team. And, from sixth grade, I mean, what do I do with this nut, bolt, and screw? And now to being able to code and to being able to work with the challenge that's given every year, the challenge changes.
Yeah.
So every year there's a new robot to be built with new specifications and new ideas and iterations, and all of this comes from the students.
So Atul, tell me a little bit about that. So pretend I know nothing about robotics, because I know nothing about robotics. Well, I know like a little bit. I mean, my oldest son is 13 and he's into coding and is just wired this way, you know. That was like a terrible pun. I didn't mean to do. But anyways, he's like into all of this. But in terms of competition and how the program works, so you say that it changes every year. Can you tell me what does that mean, right? Because I see that you guys have a robot. Does the robot change? Does the assignment change? Does the gear change? Like, how does this work?
So every year at April, they announce at Worlds a game. So the game is usually played on the same field. It's just everything inside that field changes.
Okay.
This year specifically, it was like these triangle-shaped balls, and you had to score them in these like goals underneath, and also like hang. So our robot had to like hang itself.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So usually they have some sort of end game. There's like a general gist to how the game goes. There's like something you do in the middle, something you do at the end, and then the first 15 seconds of every game is always autonomous.
Okay.
So you have to have an autonomous portion and then a driver control portion, and that changes how the game works.
And for anyone listening, the autonomous means you're programming it ahead of time and the robot is doing it by itself. You hit something and then it...
The field always starts the exact same.
Okay.
So that's like a constant you can work with and just working from where you start. And then you can make a path or make whatever you want for it to score.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so you're able to see all of that ahead of time so you know like where you want to program it to go?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do you see it like before you even get to the match, or do you have a certain amount of time where you get to go? You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah, it's revealed with the game in April.
Okay.
So yeah, it's gonna stay the same. Usually they don't change that usually.
Okay.
But it stays the same all the way throughout the season.
Okay.
From last April till now, it's the same. So yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And then every year in April, they'll just unveil a new game, and the cycle repeats. The computer is the same. The computer, the motors, like the sensors, they're all you have to use their ones for the competition. And we change everything, like usually every year we like disassemble the whole thing, rebuild something new. Sometimes they're like the games are too different to keep some components the same, so it's worth just rebuilding from scratch. I mean, even within the season, this is our fourth or third iteration of complete rebuild. So within the game, you'll start to see a shift of how people want to play it. It's very strategic in that sense.
Yeah.
So we changed it December. And then January, like in a week, we'll just like spend a whole week rebuilding it. I think the week before school started, we had to finish it for the club fair. And we were like, oh shoot, we don't like our design. So we like completely rebuilt it in a week. And then we got it working right before the club fair. So stuff like that. Like we'll have to rebuild constantly, just keeping up with how the game works and how the good teams are playing it.
Yeah. So how do you guys feel when you're like, you finished a competition and then you're having the conversation about needing to rebuild, or does that excite you? Does it frustrate you? Is it a bit of both?
I mean, we pretty much find something to do every time we go to a comp. Something or another breaks every time. I can't remember a comp that something hasn't broke actually. So, even if we don't like to do it, something we need to do. So
yeah,
something or another will malfunction on competition day. You can do as much testing as you want. Something will always break.
True.
Honestly, I feel like the best comp that we had is actually at the regionals game. That comp, our odometry worked the most consistently. So besides that, the issue we had most with every comp was always pneumatics.
Which is
pneumatics. So it's like using pistons and air to control your robot. So we'll use pneumatics for our wings and stuff. And our wings are just little flaps on the sides that would help us push the balls into the goal.
So those are the things that fly open and then you drive it forward and it pushes those triangular cubes in. Okay.
So we went through a few iterations with that. Something that we didn't actually predict that would happen was the solenoids. The solenoids would always break.
And what are those?
They basically air channel. They let you switch which air channel you want to direct the air to. So you could use them to basically turn on or off the piston, since they could turn a channel on and switch the channel. And so for some reason or another, it just wouldn't switch from time to time. So we went through a few of those, and so our school, we still use the old pneumatics kit. They have since made an updated version, but for this year we only had the old ones, and we couldn't really order them because to order them you have to go to like the school committee and all that, and the process itself would take months. So we just wouldn't have the time to wait for something, and we also heard other teams say it was slightly inconsistent, like more so than the old ones. So we just kept with the older ones that we already had, but we had a limited supply, and we didn't really know what was breaking with the pneumatics. So we often have to like borrow from other teams, do quick hot fixes. But that was probably the most frustrating part of like redesigning every competition.
Yeah. But even so, at every competition, though, you're saying that there's constantly readjustments.
Yes.
Constantly. Because I've gone to some of these matches, and it's like you go in, and then you're during break or you're at lunch. The last time, I think, when you guys competed here at MHS, I was like, what are you up to? You're like, it's lunchtime, but you're still constantly making adjustments, and things break. And so how does your robot break in other ways? Like, do you battle against other robots? Like, do you guys hit other robots?
So it's not, you're not like, they don't say in the rules, like you're intentionally like hurting, like breaking other robots.
Yeah.
You're not intentionally doing that, but you can scuffle to like try to get the game objectives. Like, so if you can like fight over a ball, you can like try to like slam into another robot to block their like movement.
Yeah.
But the thing is, well, you can't like actually put like a spike on your robot and try to like impale the other one. You can actually just like collide with them. So that causes damage and builds up, causes a lot of vibration, makes screws loose.
Probably to both robots.
Yeah, and bends metal. So
Yeah.
we would like at our comp, particularly that we hosted in Marlborough, since we just started hosting this year, we had a really small amount of participants that we could allow. So VEX, the way they allow you to host a comp is that initially you can host like 16 participants, right? So, and if after each year you can host like 4 more or something like that. But the problem with 16 participants, we also had like 6 qualifier matches for each team, is that you don't really have any time between matches. So you do your match, and then your next match is like in 10 minutes.
Wow.
So that's why we were just constantly rushing at our own comp. So we just didn't really have time to do anything.
That makes more sense.
So it's like this combination of these small, quick fixes that we need to do, and then just having no time whatsoever to do it, which is why we're just constantly running around. So
I think at regionals it was the exact opposite. Our first match, it was like 8:30. Our second match was like 12:30. So we had huge gaps between our matches. I think that's half the reason we could fix stuff.
Yeah.
Like Leo said, our solenoids kept on breaking. So we would spend like, we would ask every team if we could borrow, and some would say yes. So we were able to fix some things up.
So I guess I never realized there's so much collaboration, not just within each school, but with each other and working together. And it's like everybody wants everyone to succeed, as long as it's not going to like hurt them, right? But there's a lot of teamwork between the different teams.
Yeah, in a way. There's a lot of teams that we talk to each other, like through just chats and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of social connections. A lot of teams tend to like pick each other teams that they've known for a while.
Okay, like
So
alliances.
there's a lot of like strategic ways in that sense. Like, how do you become like a known team for like people to pick you?
Yeah.
I think that's half the reason we've been doing so well. We actually bought bucket hats this year, like bright orange.
I saw
bucket.
those.
Yeah. Half the intention behind that was every good team we've seen had something that they stood out with.
Yeah.
So we bought hats off of Amazon that we custom made just to stick us out there, so that every team could like easily see us and know who we were, especially when we're doing good. So small strategic things we were trying to like get the best of so that we could do the best we could.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and because they were doing so well, there were many, many teams that came over to them
Yeah.
and talked to them, and what are you doing? And when it came time to do the networking for alliances, there were many teams that they came over and said, gee, will you choose me? My robot does this and this. We can complement yours. So Marlborough has now become a known team
Yeah.
because there were 100 teams at the regionals.
Yeah.
You guys interacted with many of them, which is a plus.
Yeah. All right. So let me ask you. So Andy, will you tell us how many matches did you have? How did you guys perform overall? Tell me about like the overall regional competition.
So for regionals, we the matches increased to 10 matches per each team, and we managed to win all of them. So
Hey, I need one of those sound effects. Hold on, I need one of those like. It just went. Sorry, you gotta have that sound effect. That's like the sound effect. So you had 10 matches.
and 10 wins, but which placed us third. So the reason we placed third and not like first, even though we won all matches, is because a component called autonomous win point.
Okay.
So in the autonomous portion where the robot does things by itself, you can get 1 win point added to the additional 2 win points for just winning the game.
Okay.
So even if you lose like a match, if you get like 2 win points in 2 later matches, it makes up for that 1 loss. So
the autonomous part, someone else or a couple other teams were able to score more points in that part.
yeah.
Okay.
Because autonomous itself is like a set of actions you do in the autonomous period that get you that point.
Yeah.
And for this year, the combination of moves was a collaborative effort. So it depended on both us and our teammate that we were allianced with for that match.
Oh, okay.
So we were third going to eliminations. Basically went down from first, second, third until like 6 team alliances were made.
Okay.
So like first can pick like anyone else, and if they pick like, for example, second already got an alliance, so we'll just skip down to third.
Okay.
So we were 4th seed?
Third seed. I
Third
believe.
seed.
Yeah.
So we were the 3rd team that picked an alliance, which pitted us against
14th. I wanna say.
14th for the first match, and then 6th in the quarterfinals, which was the match we needed to win, but sadly we went up against Soar.
Yeah.
Very good team.
Yeah. And when I went to your competition at MHS, I loved the rhythm that you guys had with placing everything. Like, how much practice does that take to do that kind of seamlessly and not miss any of those opportunities to launch those out?
Okay, so for that comp,
Right in there.
for that comp in particular, it was not because we were well paced. It was because we had a motion sensor that detected whenever we placed a ball on top of the catapult.
Okay.
But that was also something we changed by the time we got to regionals.
Oh.
Because in Marlborough comp, we had a catapult which had a motion sensor detector on it, which basically the catapult will be set in a default motion, which is like halfway between shooting and like halfway between like finishing reloading. So if like reloading was all the way finished, it would be like right here.
Okay.
And it would be stationed right here because it would had like another role that was like blocking balls from going up the intake,
Okay.
so that you couldn't accidentally like double possess a ball. But the problem with a motion sensor and like having it needed to block like the intake as well is that every time it detected a ball, it would first need to wind down and finish the reload before it can shoot.
Okay.
So that led to a bunch of accumulated time. And I don't know why, but every time we did skills with our motion sensor, it got slower than it did at a normal comp.
Oh.
So it would go at half speed, and we wouldn't be able to launch like even half our balls to the other side before our time ran out, and the robot had to go on its own, or else we wouldn't be able to push any of the balls into the goal. So we scrapped that, and we also redid our catapult design, and instead of normal catapult, we did ours into a little kicker, which is kind of like a smaller catapult, which is instead of having like a little bowl where you shoot it, it just has like a little thing that sticks out of it that just you hit it. So you just hit it from a stationary position.
Okay.
And it's a lot quicker. We got rid of the motion sensor, so it just keeps running, and we found a good rhythm that we can place it. So, but by that point, shooting had already becomes obsolete, and we only really used it in skills.
Okay. Great.
Yeah,
Wow.
we also bought football gloves to help with loading right after that Marlborough comp. Yeah, some team was like, oh, you should buy football gloves. You can grip a ball way better. I think Andy was able to hold the ball with just 2 fingers with the gloves on, and you have to use like 5 without them.
Yeah.
Plus, your hands get a little bit sweaty. You know, there's a lot of like factors to how well you can grip that ball. But just like even those like small things that helped us perform like more consistent.
Yeah.
Which was really fun. And then we were able to make it go way quicker. I think we were able to get 44 balls off in 29 seconds or something.
Wow.
So yeah, pretty quick. Some teams were able. I know there was a team that was able to do 44 in 17 seconds. So yeah,
That's insane.
It was crazy. I don't even know how some of those teams do that, but
That rhythm was
It's-
amazing to watch. It was just so fast.
Because you all have to coordinate, like you're all 3 close to each other, and you all have to know
Yep.
who's doing what,
Yep.
where, and when. If you like hit each other at the same time, it could really mess everything up.
Yeah, and they had it, the driver is the driver, and the other 2 would be putting those balls on. And it
Yeah.
was just so fast, and 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and it just, was amazing to watch.
Yeah. So how did you guys feel at the end of this competition? What were you like walking away feeling or thinking, or do you already start thinking about the next project, or do you reflect and relax, or a little bit of both?
yeah, I mean, it was quite sudden though. When you we lost quarterfinals, right? And then it kind of hit us that, oh, that's the last game of the season. We have to wait till April. But I think if we look back on the season, it was a really good season throughout. We've never made it below semifinals, I don't think. So really successful in that way. Our first competition we were finalists, and then we won our second competition. So pretty good overall year.
Yeah.
And then going undefeated at regionals was pretty nice.
Yeah.
Pretty nice to put ourselves on the board.
That's crazy.
And then, looking forward into next year is definitely what we're gonna do for these this month and a half. There's some small projects we can do to improve our code, just our general code. We did robot tracking this season, so we had an algorithm that was able to figure out where our robot was in global space from the left wheel data, the right wheel data, and the heading.
Okay.
Just those 3 values and a little bit of trig, you can figure out where you are.
Just a little bit of trick. Just a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason we got our autonomous really nice. It was pretty quick. If it messed up in one part, it would know that and it would fix it in the next move, all autonomously.
Wow.
So yeah, it was really cool to watch that work.
When you asked about growth,
Yeah.
everything that Atul just said, and Andy and Leo, our middle schoolers are not that sophisticated. Their robots are the same thing. They still have the same game, the same challenge.
Okay.
However, as they grow, mature, go on to come to high school, you see and hear all of this expanded knowledge.
Yeah.
And that comes from being up here and working together with high school students.
Yeah.
So the growth is amazing.
Yeah. All right. What about you guys? What was your takeaway at the end of the competition? How did you guys feel? Or at the end of the match?
Well, kind of how do I say this? Just it kind of just hits you, like Atul just said. Kind of just sit there, it's with all the other teams that just got lost too, and you just watch the boys oh, we really lost.
Well, it's crazy. I'm still trying to wrap my head around you won 10 out of 10. So you got 3rd place. So wait, you guys keep saying that you lost. So tell me what that means, because I don't know if I'm missing something.
So we lost. So what we're saying, we're 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
For preliminaries.
Right. Okay.
Preliminaries basically gives you the right to decide first, in order of who placement.
Okay.
Who gets to pick their alliance partner first. So since we won all our games and we had a fairly high win point, we could pick our partner alliance 3rd after first and second place.
Okay.
And it helps you a lot because to be able to actually qualify for eliminations bracket, you have to be in top 16 or someone in top 16 has to pick you.
Okay.
So, but if you were in a higher place, you'll get easier matchup because first place matches with 16. So they would go against
Okay.
16. So it would get easier if you were doing better. So what we lost in the eliminations bracket. So after we picked our alliance, and it was in semifinals, which is the one we need to win to qualify for the World's tournament.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And the thing is, even though some teams, we don't know why, but some traditionally really good teams did not do too well in the regionals tournament in preliminaries. I believe SOAR itself was, I think, in 75th place, but they have done very well. They got first finalist in all the other new Southern New England tournaments that there was. So it was kind of really a shocker that they didn't do that well in the first place. But
So when you got to that bracket point, that's what.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the part I think I was
Yeah.
missing in terms of how it all works as a whole.
yeah, but like I said, if your team has traditionally done well, then everyone will want to pick you anyways, because despite that, the fact that SOAR was in 75th, 60th place, they were a team that has traditionally done well in every tournament that we held this year.
Yeah.
So first, I can't remember what place picked it. It was one of the top.
They were 6th seed.
Sixth seed. So sixth place picked SOAR. And I think it was Olympus.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Olympus picked SOAR. And they did very well together. They had really good synergy. So basically, even if you didn't do well in a particular tournament, if it was known that you would do good overall, then you could always get picked, which is part of the network that we were talking about,
Yeah.
doing well consistently. That's how we got our name out here at this tournament.
Yeah. That's huge. I mean, that applies to real world situations. All of these skills that you're getting by competing and learning that networking and working together and knowing who to count on and being that person as well, being that team that is your go-to, hey, you guys did really well in this. Can you explain this to me? Or can you help me with this? Or, hey, do you guys need this? That is huge. That's going to serve you for the rest of your lives. All right. So will you tell me, Andy, just tell me your perspective on that, on when you guys finished.
I still remember after the quarterfinals game, just sitting on the floor of the ice rink with a tiles on top, which was a bit sliding, but it was fine. So I just sat there looking at the semifinals match, then finals match, and wow, our season finally is over.
Yeah.
And then it was both looking back on how we did overall, and also in the moment sadness, but also joy from how much we've improved and
Yeah.
how much I've learned, and I've worked with the team and got to this place.
Yeah.
So on the car ride back, we talked about our performance and what we can improve for next year. So
Yeah.
always preparing for next time.
That's awesome. All right, so I don't want to hold you guys too much longer because it's almost 4:00 on a Friday. Who needs that? But I do just want to ask you. So imagine sharing this video with maybe not even 8th graders, maybe 5th graders. Their kids are just coming up to the middle school. What advice would you give them on exploring this program, and what are your favorite takeaways? For you as an individual, why is this a program that's important to you and that maybe you could encourage other kids? So I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think the thing that I hear that pushes a lot of people back is that it's difficult or it's hard to get into. But I think I've learned the most just from experience. And I think once you get started and you realize how fun it can be, then you'll really want to learn the hard stuff, and then you'll just naturally get really good if you like it. And then it's really fun too. I mean, the competition part of it gets you going. especially when you win, right? So, yeah, and the competitions definitely help, right? It's not something you just work on just to work on, but you work on it for a competition.
Yeah.
So the competitive aspect, if you're competitive, is also really nice. Getting to see other teams and playing in games is sick.
Awesome. All right, Andy, what about you?
I would say just if you're thinking of joining a club, be it robotics or any other club, I would say just go for it. Because the worst you can lose is just if you don't enjoy it, you quit.
Yeah.
That's the worst that can happen.
Yep.
And the best thing that can happen is obviously you find something you enjoy
Yeah.
and want to pursue for the rest of your life.
Awesome. All right, what about you, Leo?
Yeah, so I want to talk about like our club this year. So one of the thing we had with our new members was that like they started this year. They were all like new members. They'd never experienced robotics before, and they were trying to get into the club. So and we recruited them at club fair, but like robotics is like kind of like a cumulative club. What you learn before builds continually throughout the years you're in it. So what I found is that they found like a really hard time adapting since we or like more likely Atul was constantly on the move, like teaching us how to do robotic stuff. But like to teach the new members, it required like a lot of time because they didn't have all like 5 years to catch up since middle school.
Yeah.
So
you're saying for students that did not do robotics in middle school,
Yes.
that are just wanting to join the high school, it's a little bit harder
oh, it's much harder
because you don't have that background knowledge.
Yeah, you'll be lost. I was fairly lost my first year. I didn't really know what's going on. The majority of the time, just observing.
Yeah.
But if you want to even if you don't want to do it, or like you might be interested in the STEM field, but you don't really know, like but you don't want to like fully commit to anything.
Yeah.
Do it just because if you do it now, then you won't have to worry about catching up later.
Yeah.
So if you in middle school, just try out a bunch of clubs, because if you don't, it's going to be really annoying later when you actually want to find something, a club to join, or like something you want to do, an extracurricular you want to do, when you have to catch up to everyone else to
Yeah.
be able to like, have fun and enjoy it the same way they do. Because just like catching up isn't that fun.
Yeah.
So just start as early as you can, or like start exploring as early as you can.
Yeah. I think that's great advice for any clubs. I mean, middle school and even elementary school, the more you can do, I mean, they have makerspace, right? In
Yes.
elementary school. And what they're able to do, even then, they have these little robots that they have to program around to do like a balloon float parade. There's skills that you're getting and exposure to different activities and sports and clubs that at a very young age. Speaking as a parent, I have 4 kids. And my daughter is 9. And so 9's still very young to start to learn anything. But there are some sports that are trickier to do well in if you've never tried it before. So like the learning curve is so huge. So like if she told me tomorrow, Mama, I want to be a gymnastics superstar, I'd be like, you might be a little too late because she doesn't have some of those elementary skills. So I see what you're saying in terms of robotics. There's so much to learn. So if you think you might be interested in it, give it a try. Try it out when you're younger, because then you can say, oh yeah, man, this really like, my brain is just firing off. This is super rewarding, because there's certain people that are wired for that. Like I love solving puzzles. I love figuring out how does this gear come together? Something's not working. There's probably 8 different ways to fix it, and trying to figure out like all the different ways to do it, and find, setting up redundancies and everything like that. Like that is super exciting to me. Like I probably would have loved robotics if I had robotics when I was in school here. But you don't know until you try it, right? And if you're just like, oh, I don't know if I'm into that, then you'll never really have the opportunity to see if you are or not. So that's really good advice. All right, so let's see, any final takeaways, any messages you want people to know? You're going to be showing this everywhere. What do people need to know? And I'm going to ask you the final question just to like round things off. Anything else you want people to know?
Join robotics, I guess. Yeah, we need people.
We need people.
Awesome. All right, what do you guys think?
Come join.
Yeah, come join. So that's all I really had to add.
Awesome. Cool. All right. So, final message for as chaperoning this event, being our middle school club advisor, what final thoughts do you want to share?
Well, middle school, we're going to be having a fair to bring in new students. Fifth graders, we won't have one at the elementary schools.
Okay.
But we will be having a kind of an initiation fair, come and see what we do. As far as the whole program, again, as I've been doing it for 13 years, I'm very invested in it. I love working with the students and seeing them grow, as we've said. And, making our program at the middle school, we are the feeder program for the high school.
Yeah.
So the students that come up to Marlborough High, some go to other high schools, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But those that come up to Marlborough High are more than welcome to join, to come and see what's going on, and join robotics.
Yeah. Awesome.
One of the things about the middle school robotics program is when we bring the students in, there's a lot of things that they learn that we always try to do in the classroom, but that doesn't always happen in small groups. Students learn teamwork, which is huge. They learn how to share materials. They learn how to communicate with each other. At the middle school, each team has to have each other's contact information because the robots go home over the weekend and students get together. So the responsibility, the independence.
Yeah.
There's so many things that the students learn. So when we meet with the parents in the fall of our new members, we go over all of these things, and, sixth grade parents get a little nervous because, we don't want our child to go to someone else's house.
Sure.
And very quickly that goes away when they realize how well the kids work when they are at someone else's house, because they work on a Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
The students get together, decide what are good times. Oh, I have basketball, but I'm available from 1 to 3.
Yeah.
And 1 to 3, they'll go to Johnny's house.
Yeah.
And so we really encourage the parents to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
And oftentimes the parents will go and meet each other on the team so that they feel comfortable with their child going to each other's homes.
Yeah.
And then they're always at the competitions. They bring the students, sometimes they bring them at 7:30 when they start. They go home, they come back again, because our competitions for middle school are in Framingham.
Yeah.
So there's the growth, there's a lot of things that the students do learn, and we see this as they go through the program year after year.
Awesome. All right, well, congratulations on doing such a great job, and you represent the Marlborough way in all things Panthers, and we just hope that you guys will continue to, give of your time, represent MHS, but also it's great to see you guys when you're able to work with our middle schoolers and give them a vision for what things look like up here at the high school, and we look forward to seeing where you guys are going to be at in 5 years.
Oh.
Maybe you'll come back and teach robotics here, or you'll be off solving the world's problems. But
Yeah, we all going to MIT.
yeah, full rides probably. Yeah.
So I can say then, in a couple of years, well, we sent 3 students off
That's
to MIT.
right. That's right. That's right. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Okay.
And I hope you guys have a really great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.